praise and worship you today. You are exalted in our midst. We ask for forgiveness for every sin we have done. Have mercy on us, our Father. As we start our program today, let your guidance and protection be upon us. Send your Spirit to us and give us wisdom. We thank you for all the blessings we have received. We also thank you for the lives of the people in this place. Be glorified in everything we do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. We are at the second week of our class, and today I am going to share with you about lesson number 2, conditionals. Before we proceed, let me share with you something that you need to remember about the previous lesson. Remember, modals are auxiliary or helping verbs that may express permission, prohibition, obligation, and no obligation. They are necessary to determine the weight of one's action to be done or performed. They also help in understanding the source of permission, obligation, and prohibition. Reminder, the things included in the lesson are just some of the examples and some of the functions of modal verbs. There are still a lot to be studied. So keep on searching and keep on studying. Our objectives for this week. At the end of this video presentation, students are expected to identify the parts of conditionals, know the different types of conditionals, use correct tense of the verb according to each type of conditional, and identify the type of conditional used in a sentence. Those are the skills that will be emphasized in this lesson. So, let's begin! Good morning, students. I am Alagazam, and I am here because your teacher asked me to share with you what the stars draw for your fate. Let's begin. Sagittarius. If water boils, it turns to steam. Scorpio. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Taurus. If it's raining, the streets must be getting wet. Libra. If the exam is hard, many students are going to fail. Aquarius. If I had won the lottery, I would have bought you a present. Remember, this is just a guide. You have the power over your fate. Just seek for God's goodness, and you will not be forsaken. That's it. So what you have witnessed was just for presentation. So it is not true. I just hope that you focused on the sentences, because all of those sentences, like what you have seeing right now on the screens, are what we call conditionals. However, before we talk about it, let us focus on the prerequisite skill of this lesson, which is the tenses of the verb. So, I believe that you are familiar with tenses of the verb. However, what is prerequisite? Class, our word for the week is prerequisite. It's spelled as Prerequisite. Prerequisite. It is a noun. It means something that must exist or happen before something else can exist or happen. Sentence. Passing a written test is a prerequisite for taking advanced course. So it means prerequisite are things that are required for you to do first before you can do another things. So for example, before you will become grade 10, it is prerequisite that you pass your grade 9 level. So that's what prerequisite is. Now, let's focus on the tenses of the verb. So earlier I mentioned that it is prerequisite for this lesson for you to know this topic or the tenses of the verb, because it will be challenging for you if up to now you are having a difficult time with this. So let's begin. So simple present tense. So simple present tense are actions that happen in present time. So these are the verbs. So we have receive and we have believe. In simple present tense, if the subject is singular or only one, our verb has an S. So Daniel receives a gift. Now, if the subject is plural or many, we do not put or we do not add S to our verb. They believe in you. So that is simple present tense. You should also be familiar with the simple past tense. When you say simple past tense, these are actions that happened in the past. So it will become received, become received. Believe will become believed. Daniel received a gift. They believed in you. So all of these things happened in the past. Now, another is what we call irregular verbs. So instead of adding D or ED or IED at the end of the verb, these verbs or these irregular verbs change their spelling. Eat will become ate. Begin will become began. We ate bread. I began to laugh. So those are what we call irregular verbs. Next is simple future tense. So these are actions that might happen in the near future. Sit, it will become will sit. Run will become will run. So if you are going to notice, we put modal verb will to show that the action is in the future. Jose will sit. You will run. Next is past perfect tense. It is a verb tense which is used to show that the action took place once or many times before another point in the past. So we have a formula to be used in past perfect tense. So we put the word had plus the past participle. So go, if you are going to form it into past perfect tense, it will become had gone. Had plus past participle of go, gone, had gone. I washed the floor when the painter had gone. Next are the past participle. So these are the examples of past participle. So if you have the verb be, the past simple is was or were, and the past participle is been. Come, came, past participle, come. Do, did, past participle, done. So past participle are used in perfect tenses. So those are the things that you should already know because they will help you to easily understand our lesson for the week, which is conditionals. Now, let's begin. Let's first know the definition of conditionals. Everyone, please ready to watch a video clip.
A conditional is a type of sentence that is made up of an if clause and a main clause. The if clause is known as the condition, and the main clause is the result. The sentence describes a situation that might happen or might have happened. The sentence usually starts with if or when. It's important to note the if clause can be first or the second part of the sentence.
This is what we call conditional. The sentence describes a situation that might happen or might have happened. So in conditional, we are going to act as if we are a fortune teller because we are going to analyze possible situation that may happen based on the given scenario. So what are the things that we need to remember when we are talking of conditional? So conditional is a type of sentence that is made up of an if clause, condition, and a main clause result. So it means it is composed of two clauses. So first one is if clause and the second one is main clause. So the sentence usually, not always, the sentence usually starts with if or when. So it is highlighted here that the if clause can be the first or the second part of the sentence. That's why it is mentioned that it usually starts, because there are situations wherein you can see your if clause at the second part of the sentence. Now try to look at this. Parts of conditionals. Conditional sentence. If clause, which is the condition, plus the main clause, the result. It's not important which clause comes first because there are times that they change position. So sometimes the main clause, the result, was written first, followed by if clause, the condition. So these two clauses can be written on the first or at the second part. Look at this sentence. If you pray hard for it, you will receive it. So conditional has two parts. We have the if clause and the main clause. How are you going to identify the parts? Okay, so the first clue here is the comma. Comma separates the two clauses. So once you are going to analyze the sentence, it is very important for you to look for the comma. Once you see it, you already know where are those two clauses. Now, let us separate the two according to their parts. So we have if you pray hard for it and you will receive it. So which one is the if clause and which one is the main clause? Good. So the first clause is what we call the if clause or the condition because it starts with if. Now the second clause is our main clause. So the main clause is the sentence or a clause that suggests a complete thought. So main clause, you will receive it, or you will receive it. Now, how if the sentence is written in this form? You will receive it if you pray hard for it. You cannot find the comma. So what will you try to find if there's no comma? So you are going to look for the word if. So now that you see the word if, we can now break them into parts. So we have, you will receive it if you pray hard for it. Now, you will receive it will become the main clause, and if you pray hard for it is our if clause. So that's what you call the parts of conditionals. So we have two parts. We have the if clause and the main clause. Okay, now try it on your own. I have here a sentence. Please answer it in your mind. She would hurt herself if she fell. What do you think is the main clause and what do you think is the if clause? The main clause is she would hurt herself, and the if clause is if she fell. Great! Now try it yourself. Everyone, please open your notebook and please number it 1 to 5. Encircle the if clause and underline the main clause. Copy and answer. You only have 1 minute to do it. However, if 1 minute is not enough for you, you can pause this video and write the sentences, then answer. Here are the sentences. Again, please identify the parts of these sentences. Underline the main clause and encircle the if clause. 1 minute will start now. Time is up. Please check your own work. Are you done? How was it? I hope you got your desired score. Still, I would like to congratulate everyone for answering this task. We are done with the definition and the parts of conditional. Now, let us proceed to the types of conditional. There are 5 types of conditional, but for this video presentation, we only have 4, and they are zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, third conditional. I have also prepared videos that will discuss each type, so everyone, please watch and study closely each content so that you will understand each of the types. So are you ready? Let's begin with the zero conditional.
Zero conditional. This is made up of if plus the present simple plus present simple. The zero conditional refers to situations that are always true or possible. For example, if it rains, the ground gets wet. If you heat ice, it melts. It's important to note that when can also be used instead of if. For example, when you heat ice, it melts.
So that's zero conditional. Zero conditional refers to situations that are always true or possible. So it means it's factual situations. Now, what tense of the verb are we going to use? In if clause, we are going to use simple present tense. In our main clause, we are also going to use simple present tense. Now look at the examples. We have, if it rains, the ground gets wet. In our if clause, we have rain as the verb. Since it is in simple present tense, we add s on rains because our subject is singular, it, if it rains. In our main clause, our verb is get, so we add s on it because our subject is singular, ground. The ground gets wet. If it rains, the ground gets wet. Now, another example is, if you heat ice, it melts. Our if clause is if you heat ice, and the verb is heat. We did not put s on heat because our subject is pronoun you. If you heat ice. Next, it melts, our main clause. So our verb is melt. So we add s on it because our subject is singular, it. If you heat ice, it melts. Now, another reminder for these conditionals, we can use when instead of it. So if I'm going to replace it here, so it will become, when it rains, the ground gets wet. When you heat ice, it melts. So that's our zero conditional.
First conditional. This is made up of if plus the present simple plus the future simple. First conditional refers to a situation that is possible or realistic. For example, if I go to the shop, I will buy something. If I study hard, I will pass my exams.
First conditional. First conditional refers to situation that is possible or realistic. So if in zero conditional, they are factual situations, in first conditional, the situation are possible to happen or they are realistic. So there are possibilities that in first conditional, the situation may happen. Now, talking about the verb or tense of the verb, in if clause, we are going to use present simple tense. In our main clause, we are going to use future simple tense. Now look at the examples. If I go to the shop, I will buy something. If I go to the shop is our if clause, and our verb is go. I did not put es to become goes because our subject is pronoun I. So if I go to the shop is our if clause, and it uses simple present tense. Our main clause is I will buy something. Now since we are going to use future simple tense, it uses will buy. I will buy something. So the sentence would be, if I go to the shop, I will buy something. Another example is, if I study hard, I will pass my exams. If I study hard is our if clause, and our verb is study. It is not studies because our subject is pronoun I. So it becomes if I study hard. Now our main clause is I will pass my exams. So this clause will use future simple future tense. And for that, we are going to use will. I will pass my exams. So it will become if I study hard, I will pass my exams. So that's what first conditional is.
Second conditional. This is made up of if plus the past simple plus would and the base form of a verb. Second conditional refers to a situation that is impossible or unlikely to happen. For example, if I won the lottery, I would buy a mansion. Another example is, if I were you, I would quit smoking.
We are now in the second conditional. Second conditional refers to a situation that is impossible or unlikely to happen. If in zero conditional, situation is true or factual, in first conditional, situation is possible to happen. In second conditional, situation is impossible to happen or unlikely to happen. So what tense of the verb are we going to use in each clause? So in if clause, we are going to use simple past tense. In our main clause, we are going to use would plus the base form of the verb. Look at the examples. If I won the lottery, I would buy a mansion. If I won the lottery is our if clause. Our verb is won. Won is the past tense of win. If I won the lottery. Our main clause is I would buy a mansion. Would plus the base form of the verb buy. Would buy. I would buy a mansion. If I won the lottery, I would buy a mansion. Another example is, if I were you, I would quit smoking. If I were you is our if clause. Our verb is were. Were is the past tense of are. If I were you. Next is our main clause. I would quit smoking. Would plus the base form of the verb, which is quit. Would quit. I would quit smoking. If I were you, I would quit smoking. So that is our second conditional.
Third conditional. This is made up of if plus the past perfect plus would have plus the past participle. The third conditional refers to a past situation that differs from reality. For example, if I had saved my money, I would have bought a car. If I had studied, I would have passed my exams.
And we are at the last conditional, which is the third conditional. Third conditional refers to a past situation that differs from reality. So it means we are talking of past situation which is different from the real world. So, we are now we are now at the last conditional, the third conditional. Third conditional refers to a past situation that differs from reality. So we are talking of past situation that is different from the real world. Now, the tenses that we are going to use are, in if clause, we are going to use past perfect tense. In the main clause, we are going to use would have plus past participle. Look at the examples. If I had saved my money, I would have bought a car. If I had saved my money is our if clause. The past perfect tense of save is had saved. If I had saved my money. Now, our main clause is I would have bought a car. So we have would have plus the past participle of buy, which is bought. I would have bought a car. If I had saved my money, I would have bought a car. Now, another example is if I had studied, I would have passed my exam. If I had studies is our if clause, and our verb or the past perfect tense of study is had studied. If I had studied. Our main clause is I would have passed my exam. So we have would have plus past participle of past, which is passed. I would have passed my exam. If I had studied, I would have passed my exam. So that's the third conditional. So I hope that you keep them in mind, and I also hope that they will serve as your guide in writing your own conditional sentences. Now, I prepared sentences here, and all you need to do is to identify what type of conditional that these sentences belong. So for the first sentence, I have here, if you eat a lot, you put on weight. So our verbs are eat and put on. So what type of conditional does this sentence belong? Try to answer it in your mind. Okay, let's see if we have the same answer. So this sentence belongs to zero conditional. Next, if she saw a snake, she would be terrified. Our verbs are saw and would be. In what type of conditional does this sentence belong? Let's see if we have the same answer. This sentence belongs to second conditional. Last sentence. If he studies hard, he will do well in the exam. Our verbs are studies and will do. What type of conditional does this sentence belong? The answer is first conditional. So that's it. I hope you got them all correctly. Now, let us proceed to the next exercise. This time, you will just choose the appropriate verb in the sentence. Let's begin with the first sentence. If he is there blank be trouble. What do you think is the correct verb to fit that sentence? Is it will or would? Answer it in your mind. If he is there blank be trouble. Is it will or would? Okay, the answer is will. If he is there will be trouble. Why did we answer will? It is because the if clause uses simple present tense. Therefore, the main verb should use simple future tense. Next, if you liked it, blank you buy it. Is it will or would? If you liked it, blank you buy it. Is it will or would? The answer is would. Why did we answer or why did we choose would? It is because in our if clause, the verb is in past tense. Therefore, our main verb will use would plus the base form of the verb. Would buy. Last, if I had known, I blank. Would help or would have helped. If I had known, I blank. Would help, would have helped. The answer is would have helped. Why did we choose would have helped? It is because in our if clause, our verb is had known, which is in past perfect tense. Therefore, we are going to have would have plus the past participle of the verb help, which is helped. If I had known, I would have helped. Using your experiences in answering the previous activities, let's find out if you can do it yourself. Please open your notebook and copy the sentences. Then, please choose the appropriate verb that will fit in each sentence. After you answer that, the next thing that you will do is to identify the type of conditional that these sentences belong. So, in each sentence, you will have two answers. One is the appropriate verb, and the other answer would be the type of conditional. So you will only have 1 minute to answer this. But then again, if 1 minute is not enough for you, you can pause this video and answer it in your notebook. So, let's begin. Your timer will start now. Time is up. Please check your own work. First sentence. If she comes, I blank call you. The correct answer is will. And this sentence is under first conditional. Next, if you take this medication, you blank well. The answer is will get. And it belongs to first conditional. If you had sold your home then, you blank rich now. The answer is would have been. And this sentence belongs to third conditional. And there you have it. Please count the number of correct answers. Then, please write it in your notebook. Whatever score you got, I am happy for that. However, if you still find this lesson difficult or challenging, you can still search topics in the internet and do self-studies. However, if if you already understand it, then let's proceed to your learning task in your module. So ready, answer, go. So these are the learning tasks that you are going to answer in your module. Learning Task 2, page 23, and Learning Task 8, page 28. Answer only. Good luck and have a nice day.